Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, Rick, what's up?
I have been thinking.
A dangerous pastime?
I know. But seriously, I've been listening to a lot of really cool comic book podcasts, and it got me thinking, hey, maybe I can do that.
Really? I've been wanting to do a podcast as well. What did you have in mind?
Well, I've noticed that no one has done a dedicated series to one of the arguably best comics of my childhood, Power Pack.
You know, I was a big Power Pack fan too. I have the entire run buried at my mom's house still. We could definitely do this.
If only we had some microphones and some level of competence about doing a podcast.
Okay, well, here are some mics. How about if we just fake the rest and see what happens?
Why not? What could possibly go wrong?
I've got the power!
Welcome, dear listeners, to our podcast. Jeff and Rick present Unpacking the Power of Power Pack,
where we journey through each issue of the most underrated Marvel series of the 80s while drinking beer.
analyzing awesome and amazing adolescent adventures, and absorbing alcohol. This is a new thing for us, and we hope it works and you all enjoy it. Our goal is to take a series of comic books that we both loved as children and turn a critical eye to it. We want to review each issue of the original 62-issue run of Power Pack, the series created by writer Louise Simonson and artist June Brigman in 1984.
We want to really delve into the creators and the background of this comic, as well as the culture surrounding it. We also want to spend time talking about our own history with this comic and our reasons for loving it. But these are all things that we will be bringing into the show a little bit of each episode. This issue is so dense, and we're delving right into a new group of characters. We just want to dive into the comic head first. So let's get on into the comic. But first, our Power Pack pick, or what we're drinking today.
Well, I've got a treat for you, my friend. I've decided to try and match up our issue with a beer. In fact, I'm going to try to do this with all of the issues. Try to figure out some way that we can tie in some beer with either the name or the theme of the comic. I don't know. It's going to be something fun. I'd like to start by thanking the wonderful staff at John's Marketplace, a most excellent beer store. And we have a winner for today's beer. This, my friend, is Baby
Horse.
This is Baby Horse by 21st Amendment Brewery. This is a quad Belgian beer with a 9.5% alcohol by volume. Now, just a little bit of background for fun. You may open it up, my friend.
Let me put a baby down.
Yes, we do have a live baby on the show. That is right. We have a live baby on set.
Yeah, we spare no expense.
Let me go ahead and give a little bit of history here as well. Smells quite nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Quad, or quadruple, is a type of beer that was inspired by the Trappist brewers of Belgium. This term is used to describe an especially strong style of dark ale, amber to dark brown in color, with a characteristic spicy ripe fruit flavor.
That's got a good color. That's a light brown, kind of nutty color.
Yeah, very nice, very nice, nice. Not bad.
Not bad. No, it's got a little floral bouquet, and
Definitely is a Belgian quad.
I drink that.
Now, well, good, because you will. And just so you know, too, I spare no expense. We each have 2 cans.
Well, that's how I roll.
Yeah. So, there are a couple reasons I have chosen this beer, and you can probably guess one. But for those who've never read the comic before, I will hold off on that connection. But the second reason was that this is a quad Belgium, and we are being introduced to 4 quad children who are at the core of Power Pack. So, I've never tried this beer before at all. I just bought it simply on the name, because that's how I roll. Now, Jeff, can you please read the opening credits?
Power Pack, Issue 1, August 1984. Power Play. Credits. Script, creators, penciler, Louise Simonson and June Brigman. Inker, Bob Viacek. Letterer, Joe Rosen. Colors, Glennis Wine. Editor, Carl Potts.
The scene opens on a space battle occurring in Earth's atmosphere. An orange alien star cruiser has launched 4 smaller fighters to attack a strange white craft that is dodging wildly. The action is punctuated by a
Scracko.
Thanks to the dialogue emanating from the white ship, we know that the opposing orange attackers are called the Snarks, and that the white ship is called Friday, which appears to be able to talk and think and it has one occupant named Whitey. In between the laser fire, they are talking about someone named Dr. Powers. Apparently, he has discovered something called the annihilation formula, which, shocker, will do bad things. And that is our opening page. Now, personally, I would never name a formula that. If I was a scientist, or if I played one in a comic book, I would not name any invention after a word describing the utter destruction of all things.
Now, I am a scientist, and I can assure you that I would name my invention this way. Examples: the Mega Kill Button, the All-Die Diet Drink, the Asphyxiation Wave, the Homicide Diet, Murder Your Way to a Slim New You. These products basically name themselves. What would be funny, though, is if Dr. Powers had invented a new laundry cleaner, and they were trying to come up with an extreme name for it to really stand out in the market.
Like intergalactic vibro-explosive nihilistic bleach, now with stain guard.
I like that, but yeah, the truth of the matter is that the chameleons named it, and that's probably after they had destroyed their homeworld with it, so no points deducted from the Earthmen.
Blah. Now, if you enjoyed that page, the next page is better, and let me tell you why. We turn the page, and we find ourselves on Earth. Because nothing is as exciting as an Earth homestead. An Earth dining room. They're fantastic. In fact, we're sitting in a dining room right now. This is just awesome.
It seems to be almost the exact same one, except we're not in a palatial, huge beach house, and there's only one child around.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So, this is an idyllic family setting. We have a man sitting at a table working, a little girl with her nose pressed against the back door window, a boy and a girl doing dishes in a kitchen, an older boy tinkering with a telescope, and a woman picking up a bowl from the table. This is the power of family. And by reading this one page, we find out a whole mess of information, specifically about the children. Just within the dialogue, we discover the main characteristics of 3 of the 4 power children. By the end of the next page, we are presented with how the family interacts and talks with each other. We find out the occupations of the parents and their thoughts on their bosses. We find out so much information, such as they only own 1 chair. Seriously, there is 1 chair at this table. What is the deal with this?
You know, I was thinking about this, and originally my thought on it was like, look, I own this house, and if you want a chair, you work for it. You earn a chair, and that's the dad.
But the kids are in the living or in the kitchen. They're doing dishes. What else do you want them to do?
I don't know. Get a job, a real job that doesn't involve listening to baseball and reading a book.
Well, they're going to become superheroes. How's that cut it?
All right, then they'll actually have a real job then. But I was thinking about it, though, and I'm kind of like, oh, maybe this is just Daddy's work table, and they've got like a huge family table for everybody, and he just kind of happens to be at this table all the time doing his work.
With your example, the work table is right next to the kitchen?
Yes, for snacks.
Okay, I'll buy it.
I don't know the layout of their house. I know they have a deck and a dining room.
I know with my house, we got this really nice place. We got a lot of room in it. And between my wife, my daughter, and I, we all tend to occupy the same, 10 square foot area at all times. So I can maybe buy it. Yeah. I can maybe buy it.
Oh, maybe they're on a rotation center because the kids fight. So they rotate through who's eating it at one time.
Uh-huh. I love this picture. I love this artwork. I love this comic. But just this first page, I was reading through it, and I saw this 1 chair at the table.
It does
What the
stand
heck?
out.
Anyways. So, let's find out what we know based on this page. You want to tell us?
Well, Jack is drawing the dishes and likes sports. You get the feeling he is that sport-loving boy stereotype. Julie is washing the dishes while reading the book, and apparently she is an avid reader, able to read and wash dishes faster than Jack can dry them. Alex is working on a telescope and being very bossy to Jack. This is the oldest child and the one who likes to tell the others what to do, something Jack does not like.
This is good writing. It is exposition hidden in good, natural dialogue. You're not being bashed over the head with a big exposition hammer, and that is very cool. This continues on the next page as Dr. Powers reviews the blueprints for his new experiment and expresses concerns for what he has invented. He does not want to test it yet, but is being forced to by his boss, a man named Carmody. His wife commiserates with him, and we learn that she is an artist. We do not hear anything from or about the 4th child, who is entranced by the night sky outside.
So let's just flesh out all 6 of these characters now, even though we have not been formally introduced to them yet, and some of what we will present here is revealed in depth later. Spoiler alert, they will be around for a while.
Dr. James Jim Powers He has a beard and is a scientist. In the Marvel Universe, this means he is probably a god. Well, okay, not really. He's a good and loving father and a brilliant physicist. But truthfully, in the Marvel Universe, yes, because he's a scientist and a doctor, he can probably do everything from treat wounds to, invent annihilation formulas.
Margaret Maggie Powers is the mother and professional freelance painter and illustrator. Both of the parents are loving and good. They come across as very liberal and chill. There is a bit of Elise and Stephen Keaton from Family Ties. In reality, the design, look, and probably some of the characteristics come from Louise and Walt Simonson.
I've read a few different things that a lot of the artistic design was based really on them, especially the beard and just kind of their mannerisms. A lot of the look of Maggie was based upon Louise Simonson, so it's kind of cool that they just put that in there. And we'll talk more about who Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson are later.
I think I'd probably end up doing that too. It'd be like, hey, why do all your characters look like you and people you know? Well, I know what I and my friends look like. That's why.
And probably design them too that way as well.
Yeah. Well, if you got a beard and you're a scientist in the Marvel world, of course you would design your friends to look like what you can draw.
I just would be, right now be drawing whatever characters I'm thinking of, drawing them with a baby sitting on their lap sucking on my beard.
Well, that's how I daddy do.
Yeah. It's a way to keep the child quiet. Have them suck on your giant beard during a podcast. All right. Alex. The oldest of the 4 kids at 12. He is bossy and self-important. He has a big interest in science and very much wants to be like his father. He is often looked as the leader of the team, using his age as a deciding factor. And, okay, my bias just might have shown as I read that out because he is not my favorite character. I do not like Alex. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. In fact, I was going to probably leave this for later on, but from your memory and from your experience with this book, especially now as we're starting to reread it all, who is your favorite character? Who is your least favorite character?
Katie is my favorite, plain and simple. She rocks. And then I can't say that Alex not my favorite character or my least favorite character because he's just he's milquetoast. He's just kind of around. Mm-hmm. He's that neutral filler where you're like, oh, I hate this person and I love this person. What about Alex? Oh yeah, I guess he was there too. So, maybe Jack might be my least favorite just due to the simple fact he's a smart ass and he bugs me.
See, and for me, growing up, I always liked Jack. I always thought that Jack was the cool one. Jack was just a little bit different from the other kids. I actually really liked him a lot more, and I could not stand Alex. Another thing, too, is that kind of how he's drawn and the blonde hair and some of the way he acts kind of reminds me of this one guy I knew in high school.
Okay.
He just was the most annoying and boring person, and nobody really liked him that much. And
here, I will use my descriptor for Alex is my descriptor for a lot of things. He's fine. He's fine.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Okay, then we have Julie, who is 10 years old and the second oldest child. She loves books and is very intelligent, but shy and quiet. Where Alex steps in as a leader, Julie is the maternal caretaker with many of her actions.
One more thing, I just want to kind of revisit this. Later on in the series, it'd be kind of nice to ask the same question and see if our feelings changed about the characters. I have a feeling they might.
They might. Yeah, well, because they're actually... Yeah, we've had upwards of 2 pages of learning about them at this point. And we've kind of have read the issue, so we have an idea of what the characters are like.
But I'm kind of visiting it again from adult eyes as the entire series progresses and see who actually is a really good character and who's the one that we don't like. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's just a thought. Jack, 8 years old. Jack is the antagonist of the group, but perhaps the most innovative member of Power Pack in the terms of developing new power variations. He tends to be the one who rushes into the battle and is the least afraid. Very bold, likes sports, adventurous.
Jackass.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right, sweet. Now we get to my favorite, Katie. Katie's my lady. She is 5 years old. She is the precocious baby of the story. Possibly the most accepting of what is happening to them. She is also the one who has to really deal with the psychological hit of the real monsters. Because she can accept the fantasy as reality of the situation due to her age also prevents her from understanding the distinction between monsters and what she is. She is highly intelligent. At 5, she was literate and able to write fluently enough to compose a war journal, copying the Punisher. This is Katie's war journal. Today at the park, I went down a slide.
You think I'm kidding, but I remember that. I remember that there is something in the future issues where she does a little war journal, and it is adorable from my memory. I can't wait to read this.
But yeah, she is adorable, and if I remember right, she is going for like a battle-hardened 5-year-old, kind of like this grim, dark future sort of a thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading those again and seeing just how cute or precocious or oh my god, are you serious, kid? Kind of a war journal it is.
And one thing I know we talked about is that we're going to be putting together a website. So on the website, we'll list out each character, what their powers are, what their characteristics are, what their code names are at the time we're reading the issue. So we can kind of track them as we go through. But this is a nice introduction to them, and we'll kind of keep playing with it a bit as we go forward. But back in the story, Alex expresses interest in his father's work and responds with one of Alex's most annoying catchphrases, G.
It's not that annoying.
It really is. Okay, I will go ahead and propose that every time Alex says G, we take a shot.
I've been preparing for this game most of my life.
Because I didn't bring any, for now, we will just do beer.
Salute.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have to probably have some shots, too. So we'll be doing beer and shots of alcohol.
Yeah, that'll make this podcast work out really well.
Okay. Does the baby get a shot?
She's had several. She's up on her flu vaccine.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. She saw what you did there, too.
Yeah.
The space fight that the book started with has caused some concern on Earth, but instead of the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, or any other superhero being sent to investigate, the reporters are apparently just sent instead, and they start broadcasting news that UFOs are spotted in the area. I'm assuming that on Earth 616, this is such a normal occurrence that there is not a War of the Worlds level panic that occurs.
Wouldn't it be weird to live in a world where actual UFO sightings are as exciting as a traffic report of the weather? Once all these UFOs clear up, it should be pretty nice this weekend.
And now back onto sports there, Jerry. Hey, I saw that your team won this weekend. That's pretty nice.
Yes, they did. It was great.
There are UFOs up there. Would you guys do something?
Yeah, but first I gotta tell you this sport analogy.
Can you tie it into us being attacked by War of the Worlds, please? That'd be awesome.
I don't know. Things are tied up on 26, probably due to the UFOs. That'll clear up after rush hour.
The fact that there are space aliens up there and nobody's doing anything about it. Whitey and Friday decide to try to avoid direct interference with Earth by flying low and erasing all the data on Dr. Power's discovery, sacrificing themselves if they have to. They make this determination after discussing their love of Earth's literature and art.
Whitey is a chatterbox and super chill in every situation. He cracks me up. It's like right now, his ship for pages has just been under this massive attack by fighters. They don't, it's like, hey, we don't have any weapons to fight back. We're being shot at. Stuff's going on. You know who I really like? Alice in Wonderland.
Really?
Lewis Carroll's awesome. Yeah, so he just continually is like, they're shooting at us. I like books.
And I think he's programmed his ship to be exactly the same, because Friday's just like, la-di-da-di-da, oh, I'm getting shut up, la-di-da-di-da, oh, I have nothing to defend myself, la-di-da-di-da, we are going to crash and die.
Yeah, they are so Netflix and chill, it is just crazy to me. It just, everything that occurs is like, oh, man.
But you brought up a good point with the Alice in Wonderland, because the emphasis of literature is all over this book. They make allusions to many different authors and stories. I think that this speaks to Louise Simonson's own love of literature. She has described herself as an avid reader in her youth, and I cannot help but think that this is why she has referenced so many books in this issue. Whitey mentions Alice in Wonderland and later references another work by Lewis Carroll. Julie talks about Jules Verne and his influence on sci-fi and her constant reading.
But all of the space fighting and the reporting about the UFOs have caused some UFO lights to appear in the sky. And this excites the youngest power child, Katie. She leaps from the window and starts running around, knocking Julie's book into the dishwater, exclaiming,
Mom! Everybody, there are UFOs!
I guess I should mention here that, not only do we have Jeff's daughter participating in this podcast as just background noise and ambient, interesting funness, and his child is also working to make sure that his beard is only so long by chewing off the ends of it.
yeah,
but,
and constantly moisturized with her spit.
So, I got my daughter, a 7-year-old daughter, to record really cute things in here because, well, it's just darn cute.
Badoom.
So, Jack is incredulous. He does not believe in this nonsense no matter what the baby says. Something interesting, too, is that they constantly refer to Katie as baby, as the baby. It's weird sometimes and strange, but it's kind of fun. Anyways, Katie does not like being called a baby and throws a little tantrum, and she still looks adorable screaming, though.
This prompts Alex. Katie is just, everything she does is just great. She's just going around in this cute little 5-year-old girl outfit, and it's got pigtails going on, and is just, or braids going on the back of her head, and she's just super cute. So everything she does is just like she's super into it, and then she just switches in. It's just her emotions are on that scared, happy, angry, but she's baseline is pretty happy. You're kind of curious.
So you're telling me that she's a 5-year-old
A 5-year-old girl. Yeah, that's pretty much. I guess I just did describe what a child sounds like.
That's what my daughter is kind of like a lot of times. Anyways, you were saying.
This prompts Alex to drop a G-bomb. Take a drink.
Told you.
Mm-hmm. And ask his father if he can sleep outside with his telescope to look for UFOs. The rest of the kids beg, and the parents relent. Slumber party!
After the kids fall asleep on the deck, I freaking love this house. It's gorgeous. It's huge. I should mention that this house is like on a beach. There are sand dunes all around it. It is the only house you see. Dear God in heaven, where do they live? How much money do they have? And how awesome would it be to have this house? Plus, the deck is right over there. You can see the ocean.
Okay, what cracks me up about their house, though, is that the view that they give you from the deck is that the ocean is like 100 feet away. But later from the ocean, the house is nowhere in sight.
Katie is awoken because Julie left her flashlight on. She notices the ship Friday floating in water, but she cannot tell what it is. As she fails her stealth roll and knocks over Alex's telescope, the rest of the kids wake up.
Yeah, this was just a super klutzy move. She's like, I know, I can look in the telescope.
Crash.
It's like she just specifically walked straight at it to kick it. It's hilarious.
Your daughter is still too young to really get into this, but let me tell you, kids are klutzy. They are really klutzy. They're just arms and legs and blah. That's the way they roll. At your age, your daughter is more screamy and needy, which, most babies are. It's okay. Again, we are shown the characteristics of the kids. Jack wants to go and investigate, to the point he kind of bullies his siblings. Katie is not afraid, trying to be more grown-up than she is. Julie rationally confronts her own fear of maybe seeing a UFO, but wants to see it. And Alex is just being his milquetoast self, because he's the worst. But adventuring they will go.
I love the fact that Julie tells Katie to not be afraid and offers to hold her hand. I see this really being for Julie's benefit more so that she feels safer. It's like, oh, Katie might be scared. I better hold her hand. I'll go if you go, Katie, so that way you're not scared. Please hold my hand and make me safe.
And I have a theory that I'm going to bring up at the end of the book that I want to talk about. But this really feeds into it. I see all 4 kids as a specific literary archetype or character from another book. And this kind of feeds into exactly what Julie is trying to be like, which is kind of cool. But I agree with you that she is not the adventurous one. She's the one who tries to be kind of go along with the fun and try to go and do some good things with the kids. But at the same time, she's not into the adventuring as everybody else is. Anyways, on the beach, they find the ship, and they are impressed. Katie, awesome Katie, knocks on the window. Hey, question for you, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do in this situation? Let me clarify. What would 10-year-old you do in this situation if you were living on a non-616 Earth? And I just realized this is like the second time I mentioned Earth 616. So for those who are not Marvel comic book geeks like us, let me explain this. Okay, so Earth 616 is the designation given to the main reality of Earth that exists in the Marvel comic universe. So on Earth 616, Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Avengers are real beings. This is a little bit different than the the Earth that's represented in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has another designation which I can't remember right now, but I will look that up for later. But back to you and the question, what would you, 10-year-old you, do if you were faced with this situation?
Oh, man. I was thinking about this. I don't know. I'd like to say, like, oh, of course I'd go and explore the bizarre craft out in the ocean late at night. But honestly, I don't think I would have been outside in the first place sleeping. I'd be like asleep in my bed, or more likely awake in my bed reading a book, and during like the UFO invasion lights thing, I don't think we would have had the radio on, and I would probably have been playing Pitfall on the Atari. So in all honesty, I probably would have not known the situation was occurring at all.
See, and I gotta say that for myself, I could find times when I could have been outside, about 10 years old, doing something like that, maybe scouting or camping at a friend's house, something like that. God, 10-year-old me, I was adventurous. I would go anywhere. I can remember riding my bike a lot of places. I remember exploring Fort Stevens all over the place. I would probably be the kid to go and get into trouble. I think that would be me. But that's my thought on that, at least. But I thought it'd be interesting to ask.
No, it's a good question, because it is kind of like, what would I do in this situation? Advance the storyline or not?
In this case, they have advanced the storyline because the kids think that whatever is inside is dead. Jack sees something, and this is our first partial look at this alien race. We see a snout. And we get another G drop. Take a drink!
Hey!
So, Alex thinks it's time to get Dad, and he tells the others to go back to the house. Katie does not take this well. In fact, she throws another tantrum, splashing in the water this time.
It's my UFO. I saw first. I'm not leaving it, and you can't make me.
And I mean, this is a pretty cute scene. Hands on hips, water splashing, just pouty face, everything. It's fantastic.
Alex makes another command decision, who put this kid in charge, and states that they will waste more time arguing with Katie than it is worth. I love Jack's line.
Doesn't anybody ever say no to this kid?
So far, no. Nobody says no to this kid. It is what Katie wants. And here's why. It's the fourth kid. The parents are just done.
How does it go? The first kid, has all the rules put on them.
Yep.
The second kid can kind of do whatever they want. The third kid is treated kind of as the baby. The fourth kid, rules the world?
Yeah, pretty much is just like, we're tired, do what you want. I started a fire. All right, that's great. I stabbed a cat. That's good. I ran away. We didn't even notice you were gone.
I always think back to a friend of ours who's got 4 boys. She's got quad boys she had at the same time. And I always think back to her because there was one time she left one of those boys at a gas station.
On purpose?
Nope.
I might have done it on purpose.
Nope.
Putting it on the kid.
Nope. She kind of put each one in charge of each other. It wasn't until about 5 miles down the road somebody said, "Oh, he's missing." Oops.
Oopsie.
And I just realized we kind of outed them.
Oh, we could,
I think everybody knows the story.
not everybody, but some people.
Oh, no, everybody knows the story.
Yeah. We just won't name names.
Donna. Anyway. So, Jack and Julie head up the hill to fetch their parents a pail of water.
I see what you did there.
And instead find a flying golden praying mantis flying over their house. Julie wants to hide. Jack wants to save his parents. Da-da-da.
Kids on the beach see the noises and hear the lights, or something. They start to head to the house when the window of the spaceship opens, and the G-bomber drops another one. And, as Katie says,
My alien.
Alefire Whitemane comes out. Alefire is just this baller name.
It really is. I'm very happy that you said that because I have no clue how to pronounce it.
But Alefire Whitemane, or Whitey as his friends call him, is, well, a walking pony. He's an albino-skinned, purple-eyed, horse-headed being who apparently speaks perfect English, which he uses to dump some serious exposition on the kids before teleporting all three of them off the beach.
And now I would like to go back to our lovely beer that I brought. That was well timed.
Yeah.
And once again, this is called Baby Horse because, yes, the alien of this story is a baby horse. He is a pony. And this is the reason why Jeff laughed hysterically when I dropped this on him.
It is a perfect beer match.
So, Jeff, what are your feelings about Whitey and his race?
Well, he says he wants to be the world's salvation. God complex much.
I know, right?
And his suit gives me a weird Captain EO vibe. I think probably because it's kind of, white, spaceshipy captain kind of thing. And the era of it, I think, is probably pretty spot on.
How so?
Well, I'm thinking that... No, wait a minute, because Captain EO stuff came out later, didn't it?
Maybe, but still, I can see where you're going with it. I had not noticed or really put that together, that it was very Captain EO vibe. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this is actually a precursor to Captain EO, but in hindsight,
sure,
it's around about the same era, and it's not the same, but it is similar-esque, and it's probably just because it's a white suit and he's in space.
And Michael Jackson, and here's Whitey, going around picking up little kids,
taking them on a magic adventure.
This is a deep, deep hole that's probably not comfortable.
Yeah, let's just now. Here's the thing about the chameleons: is Whitey's mission is to come to Earth, observe it, and not interfere.
Prime directive.
Prime directive. And like Janeway, he just wrecks the hell out of the Prime directive because he's all like, I can't interfere, but I am going to erase your data about this and steal your children and maybe do some other stuff.
Well, I'm just thinking Prime Directive and Kirk, which, Kirk just gave the middle finger to the Prime Directive and did whatever the hell he wanted to do anyways.
Yep. He yells Prime Directive and then Buffalo kicks a dude.
So, what about the character design? I mean, we've got a horse.
Yeah, it's a horse. He's kind of more, his facial features are more kind of like a seahorse than a traditional horse because the muzzle is a lot thinner.
Sure. Okay.
He looks like a friendly space alien. He's not one of these aliens where you see and you go like, oh my god, pure monster, run. And it's like, no, wait, I love literature. It doesn't look like the Snarks, which look like these weird hunch.
We'll get to those.
Okay.
We'll get to those.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a monster alien. He looks like...
Unless you're terrified of horses.
Well, then that would be a terrifying monster from space.
Yeah. Didn't think about that, did you?
No.
All right.
Didn't put other people's phobias onto a friendly horseman design.
Touché. Anyway, back at the house, we have some serious action going down. The parents are awake. I don't know why, and they're a little alarmed at the big freaking orange alien spaceship in their backyard. And the fact that their kids are missing. That might be second to it. I don't know. I thought they were good parents, but to be fair, there is a big alien spaceship in the backyard, and that's enough to, make me kind of freak out, too.
They are kind of like, what's that giant spaceship landing in their backyard? And where are our kids?
Yeah, fair enough. So, Julie is forcing Jack to hide and to be quiet as everyone finally sees the Snarks for the first time.
So the Snarks, or the Znurks, as we find out in the next page, are the mortal enemies of Whitey's race, the chameleons. They are giant lizards with crocodile heads, pure red eyes, stubby snake body with grasshopper legs. They're massive and imposing. A bit frightening, but kind of ridiculous as well. They really do have this design look where you're like, how did you evolve this way?
Carefully? Very carefully. I mean, there probably were choices that were made in the past. Maybe not good choices by their ancestors, but they were choices. And this was determined to be the most appealing. Here's something I want to point out, and just keep in mind as we go forward and look at these panels here. There is some very specific shading that occurs.
You mean crotchety?
Yeah. You never see their junk. There is always this specific shading on these characters to kind of hide... Not that I go looking for alien junk, but I'm just saying that there is this shading that occurs in the nether areas.
I hadn't noticed that, but now that you say it, it's very accurate. What kills me about them is their armor, because they wear kind of like like a partial breastplate and like a tail, end of a tail guard, and kind of like a base of the tail belt and I guess knee pads.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly what they're... Unless that's the only areas of their body that actual, harm could come to them. The rest of it, like, oh, you can shoot me there. It's just going to pass clean through and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if you hit these specific areas, I'm in trouble. I gotta say, I still like them because they are imposing, they are freaky, they are scary, and they got some choice colors. Because anytime you get the maroon and green, love it.
Yeah, boom, there you go. It's a good color palette.
They also have very impressive weapons, including a mummificator that one of them uses against Jim and Maggie. This is the last straw for Jack. He, like Magnus Burnsides, rushes in. Jack has the best insults. He wings a flashlight at one of the monsters,
Thud.
calls him dog breath, and jumps on the snark with a punch to the snout. Bam!
Okay, now here's the thing that I was concerned was going to happen. I was thinking it was going to be very Sleestack-esque. Mm-hmm. Like Marshall, Will, and Holly. I don't know. Oh no, it's Sleestacks. Throw a melon at him and you can defeat one. But in this case...
Nope, not so much. Hey, you know what? He still does good work, but... Unfortunately, a 58-pound Earthling kid does not make an impact on a veteran lizard skinned commander from outer space. He calls for his lieutenant to remove the hatchling, translated from Snark, of course. Julie has also been captured, and the Snark commander orders them killed, starting with Jack.
Now this confused me. Apparently the way to execute people on Snark World is to throw them really far up in the air. Okay, sure, I guess so. Well, this is... I mean, it does work. And if you think...
No, it doesn't! It is worse than a James Bond villain killing. Come on. Hey, I'm going to kill you, so... Whee! You throw your daughter up in the air and catch her.
I don't do that. I hold her.
Okay, I threw my daughter up in the air and caught her.
Okay.
She turned out fine. I only dropped her...
She only has a slight stutter and a slight limp.
Hey, we don't talk about that. I'm just saying, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is really ridiculous. But who knows? Maybe on their world, they're just kind of like... Maybe there's like a bunch of just birds that fly around, and they're like, I want to get rid of this thing. Toss it to the birds.
So on Earth, they're like, I'm just going to wait for the birds to come. Oh, shoot, there's no
No,
birds.
they're at the beach. They see the seagulls. They're like, obviously, they have the same thing we do. You don't want something? Toss it to the birds. Problem gone.
Okay.
And then when they watch these people fall back down, land in the sand, and go, what the hell, man? They're like, why didn't that work?
You didn't kill me. You just bit my arm.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. So that did happen to Jack. Fortunately, he is caught by a magic white balloon with yellow and black dots around it. According to Jack, they're around me. It's shimmering, and I'm not falling anymore. This is some fantastic telling show. I mean, like, we don't already see it, Jack. Thank you.
Jack is just kind of likes to dialogue what's happening to him.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Anytime it's just like, there might be something that needs to be explained that you're seeing, I'm going to tell you what's going on.
It's a visual medium. The comic's right there. We can see it, Jack. Thank you. I appreciate it, but alright, whatever. Anyway, boom. Whitey has shown up with Alex and Katie. Whitey also zaps the Snark with an energy bolt while he assures Jack that his gravity field will bring him safely to the ground.
He has time before he tries to rescue Julie to explain that he nicknamed these aliens Snarks, which is close to their unpronounceable name, Snurk, based on a poem from Lewis Carroll.
Now, as a kid, I was always curious about this poem, but I never got around to look it up. But thanks to Dr. Internet, I did. The full title is The Hunting of the Snark, an agony in 8 fits. It is known as an nonsense rhyme or a romantic quest, depending on how it is critiqued. It deals with 9 companions and a beaver, all named after a title beginning with the letter B, such as Bellman, Boots, Bonnet Maker, and Beaver. This poem has a frickin' beaver in it.
That's cool.
I can't say that enough. It's pretty awesome. They are all hunting the elusive Snark. This poem is well known for its use of portmanteaus, a single word that is a combination of several other words, a literary effect Lewis Carroll enjoyed using. This poem is kind of amazing. I don't know if you got a chance to read it or not, but it really doesn't have much to add to the Power Pack story beyond the use of the word snark. and the literary callouts the book has already made, but I would argue that the fantastical nature of the verses, along with the adventurous theme, is consistent with the nature of comic books in general. And there is an anamorphic beaver in the poem and a talking horse alien in Power Pack. So,
I've never read that poem, so I had no familiarity with it at all.
So I've just been kind of talking to hear myself talk here.
No, sort of what you are informing me as well as the listener about something that I didn't have any idea about.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is good.
Read it. Enjoy it. It's long.
You're telling them to enjoy the beaver.
Yes.
Yes.
Dear listener, please enjoy the beaver. Well, I'm on my second can. I don't know about you.
I'm still on my first. So Whitey demands the Snarks give him Julie, which again involves the throwing of a child. I'm beginning to think that this is something done on the Snark homeworld. They don't have baseball or football. They have hatchling hurl. This is disturbing, but I love this ground shot of the Snark throwing Julie. It's like a cameraman is lying on the ground looking at the sky and takes a picture as Julie is being tossed.
It's awesome. Now, also on the scene, Whitey does some serious parkour, and this is before parkour was cool. He's hopping around, he catches Julie, but he also uses his body to take a few laser shots as he protects the girl.
Scream. Bow, bow.
After scrambling back to the other children, he throws up an effective force field, a molecular density shield that protects all of them and bounces the laser fire back at the evil bad guys. The Snarks make a hasty retreat, taking the bound power parents. They mention that the blast from their departing spaceship will wipe out our heroes. I also want to point out, too, that there's a fantastic thing here where I'm guessing it's probably the captain or somebody else yells out, cease your futile firings, work. The ricochets are more dangerous to us than to them. And I just made up that accent on the spot.
That works out great. But when Rick was saying that their engine blast is going to destroy the field, he actually says, you will learn how defense... I'll try and do your accent. You will learn how worthless a defense that field will prove against the fulmination from our ship's engines. They use the word fulmination.
That actually was something I was going to talk about at some point in time. There is a masterful use of how some of the words are ascribed to certain characters. And what I mean is this. I had my daughter read this. Well, I didn't have her. She wanted to. And as she was reading it aloud to me first. And as she was, I noticed that there was a lot of the words she had no problems with. It was the words that the kids were using. It's very much written into her level of understanding and her level of reading. Some of the words that the parents, the Snarks, even Whitey was using, she was having problems with because they were more adult. So it was nice to see that was in there and that was really built into what the characters' thoughts and words and way they express themselves. It matches up. You have Snarks, which are adults, and they're using higher concept words, whereas the kids are much more lower level. Mm-hmm. That's just something I noticed. As the kids cower behind the wounded horsey boy, he tells them that his people have some control over certain aspects of energy, mass, acceleration, and gravity, which we have seen. He does not have a great control, as he is a scientist and has not practiced as much as the others, because he is not a fighter. He is a lover. I'm just saying. He does have enough skills to teleport the kids away in time before the Snark ships depart.
Back at the ship, we enter a couple of pages of pure exposition. This is really the first time that everyone has a chance to stop and ask questions. Whitey's injuries are apparent to the children, but he brushes them aside and stresses the importance of leaving immediately. We, the readers and the children, are then really introduced to the Smart Ship Friday and a good helping of what the F is going on.
Beyond speaking, thinking, and self-diagnosing, Friday the ship also spouts some god-darned arms, because comics! The battle is up the ship without communications, radar, and warp drives, but guess what? It has arms. It has freaking arms! Anyways, it can't see, talk, or run, but it can fly. So the ship scoops up the injured pony boy and the girls, but the stupid boys can walk themselves, because he's only got 2 arms. I mean, he's only a ship, for God's sakes.
I'd pick you up, but I've already used my arms once, and I have to recharge them or something.
Yeah.
So go through the water.
Yeah. Just walk, boys.
Yeah.
They lift off. Whitey explains the long story about what the hell the Snarks want. As the reader has already learned, Dr. Power has discovered the same matter-antimatter conversion formula that Whitey's people had discovered long ago. Now, when they tested it, their planet did an Alderaan impersonation and went, thankfully, the chameleons had space-traveling technology, so they went to the stars. Now the race has apparently turned into universal stalkers, and our thoroughbred hero was sent to Earth.
In between napstering all of our greatest literature, Whitey tripped across Dr. Power's work. Whitey freaked out and sent a message that was intercepted, and here we are, back to the injured foal, telling his story to the children. At this point, an upset Whitey whinnies a whine of wailing. That he should have let the Snarks take the formula and blow up their planet. Alex comments that his father's lab is going to test the formula tomorrow, but at least they have his dad's blueprints. Whitey agrees that the Earth is well and truly effed. You see, Whitey can't do crap because he does not have permission.
So once again, we're back to the prime directive thing. Have they ever tried to, ask for forgiveness about permission?
Oh, well, I hear that holds up in courts.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a scientist as well as a lawyer?
No. No.
No.
Not even a lawyer.
No. Not even a fake that.
No, I can't even fake that. Have done some jury duty. That's as close as I've gotten to the court of law.
Well, Whitey sends the kids to bed, and we discover more of the smart ship's powers. Friday has the ability to shift the walls and create beds for the kids.
Okay, quick aside on these beds for the kids. They're just like uncomfortable like egg chairs, and he makes only like 2 of them. And it's like, hey, make somewhere comfortable for these kids to sleep. How about massively uncomfortable furniture?
No, I will disagree with you, and here's why. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Mork for Mork.
Oh, crap, he did come from an egg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, argue with that logic, my friend.
Can't and won't.
Okay. That was easier than I thought it would be. Yes! Score 1 for Rick. Whoop, whoop. The kids are pictured here dealing with the stress of the situation in uncomfortable beds. But it's really starting to hit them. Julie is crying while she is trying to be a brave girl. Alex is holding Katie, who is saying that she wants to go home. And Jack is blaming people while being angry. Well, I think the kids are nailing the 7 phases of grief pretty damn well. I mean, seriously, you got shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining. We haven't quite gotten to the upward turn yet, but I mean, they're hitting the paces really, really good here. And I think I like that we're seeing that from the kids, because this is some hard crap.
Yeah, well, they honestly do kind of hit the upward turn, reconstruction, working through, and acceptance and hope, sort of in like the last 5-odd pages, honestly, of the comic. So they hit those too.
Fair enough. So when the kids go to sleep, Whitey and Friday have this conversation. Whitey is dying. He took some pretty powerful hits, and he doesn't know what to do. He tells Friday to escape with the kids, but then he has an idea. Apparently, chameleons have the ability to transfer their powers. Could it work on humans? What could the side effects be? Will the attempt cause the world to explode? Will the children develop an unhealthy love for oats?
Spoiler alert, it will work on humans and they get powers. Otherwise, it would be a really short podcast. But, here's the thing about this, though. If think about it, if people found out, it's like, oh, there's this alien race, and they can give you superpowers, people would start hunting them. They would.
Well, I think we'll see that later on in the series too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So update spoiler. I kind of forgot if that actually
well,
happens.
it's mostly the Snarks. I mean, they figure it out by the end of this book. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually a thing that you would want to keep hidden from your enemies, where it's just like, oh, you have these powers, and then it puts us on equal footing. But I could get those powers too.
From Whitey's knowledge, they don't know that this will actually work.
Yeah.
This is a real big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he kind of throwing his people's prime directive down the toilet, but also he's like, hey, let's try this thing and see if I can give these other race these powers and die and just hope everything works out for the best, because I'm dead and really it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. He's like, it can't make it could make things worse, but it shouldn't make things worse. It might actually help. Alarm clock Katie. This is what? The 3rd time her spider sense has told her something was afoot. Tells everyone the Snarks have found them. Wait, I don't think she has spider sense so much as like ship sense, because she sensed the UFOs out when she was looking through the window.
Sure.
She woke up and sensed the UFO that was crashed outside in the surf outside of her house. Now she wakes up and can sense the Snark ship. She senses spaceships.
It's a cool power to have.
It's not a bad one. It's very specific use power.
Yeah, I think that she could probably find a job with the Avengers or Fantastic Four.
Oh my
or,
god, of course
like
they
anybody.
could. Yeah, the Avengers just... Yeah, of course, because you get one of those teams where they have so many people in them, and they're like, we need somebody that can sense spaceships. Katie Powers is our person. She's like, I'm an Avenger. And Spider-Man is still outside the window going, oh, it'd be nice to be part.
You haven't caught up yet.
No, Spider-Man is an Avenger.
now.
I'm aware of that. Yeah, he did. He became that in, what was that? It was the James Straczynski run, I think, actually.
Something like that, I think so.
But yeah, so Katie wakes everybody up, says the Snarks have found them. The ship is caught in a tractor beam, and the Snarks demand their surrender, and that they give over the blueprints.
How do they know that the blueprints are with Friday? I mean, did they probe Dr. Power's mind to see if they were at the house, and then they deduced the kids had them? Whitey guesses that they do not know about the testing device, but how do they know about the blueprints? I mean, for God's sakes.
Okay, well, in the comic, they do talk about how they must have used mind probes on your father and learned about the blueprints. And when they didn't find them at your house, they came searching for us. So, I don't know, they used some deductive logic.
You're giving the Snarks a lot of... They're giant lizards. How smart can they be?
They have spaceships.
Touche. Now, Whitey drops some crazy science stuff on them. Humans have adaptable molecular structures, obviously evidenced by the plethora of superheroes throwing down every week in their own and Team Comics. So, he wants to split up the powers and pimp the kids. Nope. No. I am not saying that. Okay. He wants to split up the powers and inject No, that still sounds dirty.
So what you're saying is he just wants to put a little piece of...
No. Nope. No. All right, try this. Let's try this. He wants to split up his powers and pump
them up.
Yes! Good enough. All right. This will allow the kids to have the power to save their own world, finding a giant loophole in his people's versions of the Prime Directive. Now, Jack, who apparently is also in training to be a trial lawyer, points out that Whitey's bosses would not like this. Horseboy states, what can they do? Kill me?
Wah, wah. He gives the kids the choice, and they decide they probably don't have a choice. They all hold hands, and then we get 3 pretty stunning panels. The first is all the characters holding hands in this whitish yellow glow that has left them as washed-out figures, surrounded by this black and yellow-white sunburst rays. The second is a side shot with Whitey's face half covered in shadows saying, "Save your world." And the third is the children holding hands, except there's a splash of sparkly lights where Whitey was standing. He is gone.
Jack gives some more great tell and show here by saying, he's disappearing in a bunch of sparkles, like fairy dust. Is Jack like trying out for a job for a radio sports announcer? I mean, it tracks, but come on, you don't need to explain everything we're seeing. This is a visual medium, dude. Come on. But Katie at this point says,
My alien, Friday. He didn't tell us he would die.
kind of sad.
Yeah, the kids didn't realize that Whitey would die. Julie pulls out a Star Wars reference, thinking he might be doing an Obi-Wan. They try to use their powers, but nothing is happening. Jack starts calling everything dumb, blames Whitey for failing. You know, what's actually great is that Whitey makes a flash of light.
Yeah.
Whitey then says, "Save your world." But then Whitey just disappears into a little cloudburst, and then they're like, "Okay." And Jack's all like, "What? That flashing light didn't last long enough to do anything. I say we've been had."
What did he expect? Did he pay for this?
Yeah, he's like, "This flim-flam artist cheated me out of a nickel."
Why did you just make Jack into the old-time miner?
Because he's a curmudgeonly fellow.
I am going to accept that. That is perfectly fine and acceptable, and we will buy it.
Yep.
Jack, the curmudgeonly old prospector.
"In my day, you wouldn't put up with this. Spaceships with hands."
I'm not letting the spaceship with hands go either, man. It's awesome.
It is. It honestly is pretty handy to have. Okay, weird.
Oh my god.
Pun unintended. It'd be handy on a spaceship when you're like, "Hey, we need to pick that thing up." But we're in a spaceship. How are we going to do it? Well, I've got hands. Okay, use them, robot spaceship.
Why don't you just pick it up yourself?
Because I'm inside.
I'll pick it up. With the Snarks pulling them in closer, we come to a very interesting few panels, and I'm going to highlight these because Alex tells the girls to hide, and Jack says Alex and he will handle this. You know what? Screw these guys for their total male chauvinistic stupidity. But the girls fight back, and this is beautiful and this is awesome, and we need to just read this out. So go ahead, man.
Okay, I'll be Julie, you be Katie.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Hide behind the seats?
Give me a break.
Male chauvinist pigs.
Oink, oink, oink.
Just because we're scared
Doesn't mean that we can't fight too. Represent girls. That's what I'm talking about.
Very nice.
This is what I like seeing, and I think that we can really prescribe this to the creators and the real inspiration of this book. You've got the art beautifully done by Julie Bringman. You've got Louise Simonson writing these wonderful words. You've got two very strong women creators in the Marvel Comics universe at a time in the early to mid 80s where really a lot of women were still fighting for some of this kind of power and position. Louise Simonson, she had already staked out her representation on the X-Men comic books as one of the main editors. Chris Claremont, who was leading Marvel Comics at that time with his run on X-Men, which was really selling a lot of books, she was his editor. I mean, she had power, she had say in Marvel Comics. This was her idea. She wasn't told to do this. This is what she wanted to do. This shows some of the power and agency that she is giving women and girls in this comic, which I think is fantastic. I have to give bonus points to the girls for standing up and putting the boys in their place. Do not like the lines that Jack and Alex have here. I'm really not sure what they're trying to say. Alex says, "All right." Not bad, huh, Jack? Yeah, for a couple of girls are okay. What the hell? Yes, they're awesome. This is them trying to sound, oh yeah, we meant to do that. We meant to test you. No, you don't need to test them. You just need to stand up with your sisters. You need to stand up with your family to fight these aliens. What are you doing? I hate you, Alex. I hate you, hate you, hate you. Jack, you should know better.
Jack was dumb. I like how it's just like, damn, Alex. Yeah, Jack.
It's Alex's fault. It's Alex's fault. It's Alex's fault. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
So, bite me, Alex. Anyways, in any case, the last panel on this page is fantastic. It's a great pose. The four of them standing together, ready to fight, and it's all capped off by Jack saying, "No matter how stupid it all seems."
Yeah, it's just because it's the classic. The four of them, they're backlit, their fists are clenched, they're together as a team, and they're talking how they can, they'll face any adversity that's coming their way, and they'll do it together. And yeah, Jack's like, "Yep, we will, but it's dumb."
All right then, when they come for us, we'll be ready.
The four of us together.
No matter how stupid it all seems.
Oh, we said Jack's line wrong. He's a curmudgeon. He's like, no matter how stupid it all seems.
Touche. Now things start to go bad. The ship lurches and starts to flip, and the spaceship windshield fails. Wait, the spaceship windshield fails because it can't stand such force? Like the force of space and re-entry? Okay, Mr. Scientist, please explain this to me because what the hell?
Okay, this one's pretty easy. The ship had been sustaining massive damage from its previous chill encounter with the Snarks, who were shooting lasers at them and blowing them up, and it damaged their warp drives and their radar and their sensors and their everything. So we'll just say that they normally have a force field that goes on. And keep in mind, this is a scientific vessel. It's not a warcraft, so they're not having, blast shields and everything like that. They're like, yeah, we got our deflector shields or whatever we have just to do the things, and we're fine. We're normally not under attack. And so they've taken, though you can't tell by the ship because it's pristine, it's a cherry-looking ship,
right,
but apparently it's suffered massive damage. So we'll just say that the things that would normally keep, say, the windshield protected are, they're taken out. So that's what's going on there. That's my theory on why the windshields broke from having a little bit of tugging on.
That's my rebuttal to your theory. I think it's crap. What's your
Okay.
second one?
My second theory is that the spaceship has hands and normally uses those to cover up the windshield and keep it safe, but it's busy using them to like do repairs and stuff.
That's better.
Yeah.
That's more of a science or comic book logic here. I mean, the ship does have 2 hands.
Yes, it does.
Nope, I can't say that without laughing. The ship's got 2 hands, and it holds the windshields together while it's going into... No. I'm gonna go with Chameleon superglue failed.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, I can see that. They're
The
like,
windshield was put on by Chameleon superglue, and Earth's no. Salt water eroded the superglue.
it wasn't water. There
Yep,
you go.
there
They
we
were
go.
like,
Yep.
well, of course we're using this. It's only going to deteriorate in the effects of salt water. We're in space. When will we be affected by that? Zap, splash.
Head cannon, win.
We're right there.
Rick wins.
Crack.
The kids go flying up as the tractor beam grabs them, and the shoddily installed windshield fails because of the super glue and saltwater mixture. So Alex has got the blueprints, and he reaches up and he grabs Jack's hand. Julie is closest to the snark ship. Katie and her holding hands. Jack has Katie's ankle. Alex and Jack are holding hands, and then they stop flying.
And Alex says G.
Alex's feet have gone black and checkerboardery. He can somehow pull them down. We have the power! How the hell can he pull them down?
Okay, well, he has gravity powers. But now here's the weird thing about this. On Earth, you have 1G. That's basic generic. You weigh, your mass times, G-force, which is 1 because it's on Earth. That's how much you weigh.
Okay.
And so the snark, Friday keeps on spouting out. It's like, oh, there's a tractor beam on us exerting 2 G's worth of tractor force. Oh, now it's 4 G's. And they get up, at this point, they're at 6 G's of force, which means, say you're 100 pounds and you're getting pulled with 6 G's worth of force. So that means you're 100, but you're being lifted up with 600 pounds of force.
Okay.
So that's why everybody's coming up. And the reason that they're all able to monkey chain up and everything is because all of them are being grabbed at 6 G's and, say, being cradled and lifted. Now, Alex has the power of gravity control. So he says, I don't want to go up anymore. I'll exert an opposite force. So now he's doing 6 G's pulling down. And they even mention in here, hey, we're not flying up anymore, but the pull on us is just as strong, only now it's from up and down. Now, it makes perfect sense that this little monkey chain is going to fly apart.
Okay.
Because, say, however much they weigh, they're getting pulled with 6 G's, so 6 times their weight up and 6 times their weight down from Alex. So the people in the middle and the ends are basically going to just get flung apart.
Yeah, but they don't.
No, and that's because of comics.
Okay.
Because it would just be like, because otherwise the line would be like, hey, some of us aren't going up anymore because Alex can stay still.
So what you're saying is that everything you just described is crap because comic science.
Comic science, pretty much. Who knows? Maybe Alex, I think, can also exert his powers through people. So say that the 6 G's down and the 6 G's up gets nullified and they just feel a nice slight tugging.
I'm willing to accept that just to move further on.
All right.
Because otherwise, I'm just thinking that they would all have dislocated arms and like skin would be pulled off of each other and it would just be a bloody mess.
Yeah, it's possible, but I think what would really happen is that Alex would stay still and the other 3 would go pulling up.
Okay.
Because Alex isn't going to be able, I can counteract 6 G's worth of gravity on myself, but not other people. And so now, let's just say 150 pounds worth of, we'll even say 100 pounds worth of other kids that he's holding on to is now 600 pounds. And I don't think a 12-year-old's going to hold on to 600 pounds.
No, not really. I'm willing to accept it because whatever the force is, Katie loses a grip on Julie's hand and she flies up into the ship and she's grabbed by a snark. And then she's gone, leaving a trail of blue, red, and yellow rainbow behind her. Boom! We have another power!
You know what would be great?
What?
Is if she then just slammed into a bulkhead of wall and died.
No, that wouldn't be great. That would be horrible.
I know it would be horrible, but it would actually make sense because she doesn't know she has flight powers or anything. She's traveling at basically the speed of light. And so it would just be like, oh no, a Stark has me. Let go. I can fly. Slam. Dead. You see, I think this would actually happen if people could develop superpowers. say they're in this world or whatever, you'd be like, hey, I can fly, but then I slammed into a wall. Hey, did you know John can teleport? How can you tell? Well, we were at Mount Rushmore, and he said, oh man, I'd like to be up on the nose of President Rushmore. You know the one.
There are 4 presidents up there. Name one president on Mount Rushmore right now. You fail.
But anyway, he's like, I want to be up on Lincoln's nose, and then he was, and then he fell to his death.
We need to move on because we're looking like complete idiots right now, and people are tuning in to hear us spout knowledge at them.
Yeah, we could redo that part.
No.
Okay.
I'm leaving all that in because it's awesome. The Snarks, tapping into their inner Encyclopedia Brown, have deduced that the chameleon sorcerer must have transferred his powers. Something their queen would love to know and weaponize. Because if you can know anything and weaponize it, you can make money off it. This is some good ideas. But wait, aren't these mortal enemies? And could they not have guessed out about this or figured this out in the past?
Well, okay, we don't know if all the chameleons have powers. They say that they can transfer them back and forth amongst themselves. And that just might be a thing. So that anybody that this race of snarks encounters is just like, yeah, they're chameleons and they have these powers. They have never experienced them with anybody else to transfer their powers. Say they've captured some, at no point they're going for information. There's like, tell me about the outpost over here. Tell me about whatever, your annihilation effect energy source.
Okay.
Any of these things. They're not going, hey, can you give me superpowers? I don't think that's going to happen. And so the chameleons are always going to keep that, that's their secret. That's their racial secret. They don't want people to know that, hey, maybe, we can transfer our powers amongst ourselves. Don't let anybody know that. So you can be a mortal enemy with somebody and you're like, I know everything there is to know. I know that some of them have flight powers and some of them can control gravity and they have force fields and we call them sorcerers, but they don't know that they can transfer it around.
Yeah, maybe, I guess. If they've been mortal enemies for so long, I'm just wondering why this hasn't come up now. I mean, maybe it's just the humans.
Oh, it might be. How about this? They know that they can transfer the powers back and forth, but nobody has ever transferred it successfully. And this is the first that they've seen it being transferred to another race.
Now, Jack loses hold of Katie because we still have the monkey chain. Thank you. Monkey chain going on down below, and Jack loses hold of Katie because his hand was burnt by Katie's ankle. And she flies up into the awaiting Snark ship and is captured by one of the aliens. She's 5 years old and just been grabbed by one of these like weird lizard alien things, and she puts her hands onto the breastplate, and she burns 2 Katie-sized handprints into the chest plate. Bazoom! We have another power!
This is interesting what Katie thinks here. This is the first of a running theme in the comics. She thinks that she's turning into a monster. And this is because earlier when Whitey was like, I can give you powers, but it might make you mad. It might make you a monster. It might give you superpowers. It might do nothing. And so in that little kind of like dialoguing, Katie latched onto, I could become a mad monster. And now she's just burnt her hands into a guy's armor. And it's just like, this kind of seems monstrous. And so she's just latched on the fact, due to her small child logic, and she's just internalizing specific concepts here. She knows what a monster is, and she, as we see, has one power effect that makes her look like a monster. So her childhood innocence is in jeopardy here.
It's really bad, too. I mean, this is a 5-year-old kid. She already, thinking about my daughter, going through the phase where she was afraid of the dark. We got to keep a light on the room, understanding what monsters are. My daughter gets really freaked out by any type of violence on TV. So just having an undeveloped mind being hit with everything that's getting hit with her, and in her mind it's just that I will become a monster. But the Snarks, they have never seen a power like this, and they are hypothesizing that there's some variations that have occurred because of the human DNA. Katie, being the awesome one, dives under some equipment, some very important equipment, and starts to get really freaked out. And of course, when she starts getting really freaked out, she starts activating this power more, and she starts disintegrating stuff, including something like the ship's gyroscope. Whoops.
Now we got ourselves a party. Nothing like a 5-year-old to really wreck some expensive stuff. At this point, everything she is touching, she is disintegrating, which is causing her to glow like fuzzy Muppet-shaped sun. And she's cackling with energy, too. She finally stops and launches out 4 balls of energy, which do even more damage to the ship, this time burning holes into it.
Crash! Boom! Ba! Blam!
Katie rolls towards one of these holes and does her impression of David Caruso's career and plummets through the sky.
Alex leaps out and catches her and starts to mess with gravity again, slowing their descent, but continuing a downward path. Alex, because he is the worst,
He's not that bad.
starts mansplaining gravitational physics to the 5-year-old, which of course goes over as well as a lead balloon. Alex and Katie start to work through what has happened and the powers they have and what they have done. Katie again links the fear on the Snark's face to her actions and asks Alex, is she turning into a monster? And Alex brushes it off and gives more scientific analysis to the problem, because he's the worst.
He's not that bad.
Jack, meanwhile, is pouting that he did not get powers. He questions whether it was because he didn't believe.
Yes, Jack. You need to clap for fairies and always take the play phone when the child gives it to you. Because you no longer believe in the tooth fairy, you don't get no powers. Shape up, kid.
As Jack questions what happened with Julie, she comes streaking out of the Snark ship. She is flying with an awesome rainbow streak. As the kids get back onto Friday, the Snarks get their collective crap together and start firing on them. Now, Jeff, check out page 34, because I need to ask you something, because this is important. This is very important to what we are doing. Look at this chair that this Snark is sitting in.
Yeah, it's crazy. The way that they make it look, it's like a telescope thing. No, not a telescope.
Periscope. Yeah.
Periscope, but like reversed and like going into the deck of the ship. And the guy's sitting on it, and his feet are all hunched up on it, and it looks like the least comfortable piece of furniture in the world.
Now, we have to think about the shape of these Snarks. I mean, they have a tail that comes out from their body. In, you know, the tail whips out behind them from the area that is very cleverly concealed with shadows.
Or a chair in this case.
In chair in this case. And they've got these feet that they stand on, which are grasshopper type feet or praying mantis type feet. They come up like near where the butt is. I am sitting in a chair right now, and this chair was designed for a human. This chair was designed for a Snark. So bravo for the concept and how it worked. I don't know what to make of this.
It still does not look comfortable. It looks like it would be the tippiest chair in the world. And especially because it's like your feet are perched up at the same height as where your butt would be. Yeah. So it's kind of like, hey, we were slightly jostled, and so I fell on the floor and cracked my head open because our chairs are poorly designed.
But is it creepy or cool?
The chairs?
Yeah.
It's alien. How about this? Fine. The chairs are fine.
The kids. Not the kids. Just Alex, because he's the worst. Commands Friday to haul some tail. But the smart ship, Friday, has not completed the repairs yet. Things are looking dire.
Blam! Broom! Ba-boom! Ba-bloom!
Jack wishes that there was a cloud to cover them. And boom, there is a cloud covering their escape, and snap, we have 4 powers!
And now we have a dopey, grinning cloud boy of Jack keeping them in cloud cover with his body. It works and they escape. Question, Rick, is this creepy or cool?
Creepy.
Yeah, it is
Straight up creepy. Nope, creepy. I asked you the question. You asked me. This is creepy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. The panel of this is just this, like giant cloud child that just this mad look of like glee. You're like, Grr!
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man running across the sky.
Yeah, and he's just like taking these 7-league strides and swinging his hands, and every time he's just got this creepy grin on his face, like, I'm a cloud. It is creepy. It is, in fact, just very creepy. Oh, here was the thing that I was thinking about this.
Sure.
Is prior to this, they were saying, okay, so the Snark ship is disabled, it's missing a lot of stuff, and it doesn't have its radar, so it can't automatically fire on us.
Okay.
But they still have weapons, so they can manually shoot at us. But they also say, because the gyroscope was totally destroyed by Katie, their ship is just tumbling.
Sure.
So my thing is like, oh, so everybody on board the ship is dead because they're just constantly being tumbled around and crushed?
No, and here's why. Because they have these wacky, weird chairs that they can just wrap their feet around and hold on to.
Okay, that works. But they're able to manually shoot and at the ship, and that's why they're like, we need cloud cover, because they can manually shoot at us. They know our range. But if they're still tumbling around,
before they start shooting, they do point out the fact that the ship stabilizers are fixed.
Oh, okay.
You see, they have a ship full of people And it's not a smart ship, but they've got actual people on the ship that can repair things. Instead of just a smart ship with 2 stupid hands to try to fix itself.
Okay.
I just completely dissed on Friday. And I'm sorry for any Friday lovers out there, but...
Friday is an awesome looking ship, though.
He's an awesome looking ship, but I mean, God.
Yeah, he's got hands. Ship hands.
Ship hands. Yeah.
Boom. They're actually stable. They can manually shoot.
And
gotcha. That
but
makes sense.
they can't shoot at the ship because we have Cloudboy covering the escape. And escape they do. Once the ship lands, and Julie tosses Jack's clothes in the air and he materializes in them, whatever. They're on the ground. She's like, here, Jack. Throws up throws up his clothes, and he just like goes back into his clothes, and we're on the last page. The kids debrief on what is going on, and they do what all kids would do in exactly these type of circumstances. After encountering aliens and having their parents kidnapped, after being in a battle and given superpowers, after seeing somebody die to give them powers, and while their bodies are crashing after being up all night long and using up all of their adrenaline, they choose that moment to do some serious soul searching, and they choose code names for themselves.
Yeah, they're not the best.
We've been planning to do this podcast for a little while now. How long did it take us to come up with our podcast name?
Hey, coming up with something that had our names in it and the word presents took a lot of fine tuning. We couldn't just slapdash it together. Our name is handcrafted and artisanal.
How long?
Oh my gosh, it was 2 weeks?
At least.
Yeah, because my name's Jeff and his name's Rick, and we're presenting something.
And that was
how can we come up with a name that includes Jeff and Rick presents?
And
2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen.
And unpacking the power of Power Pack about the same amount of time.
Yep.
Let's take a moment and see what they come up with. Since Alex explained to Katie that she was like a battery that stores energy, she wants to be the Energizer and get mad stacks of advertising money.
Fat stacks, babe.
Fat stacks. Katie has the power to charge matter into energy through disintegration, store that energy, and then release it. So she is the Energizer.
Katie then suggests that Jack be Jack in the Box because what does she say? And Jack's Jack in the Box because he pops up and down like one.
Well, she is 5.
Jack, he says, no way, punk. I'm Mass Master, and don't forget it. And as Rick had pointed out to me previously, he was like, yeah, no way that can be confused with Ass Master. But so far, what I don't get about this name well, first of all, I have problems with almost all the names.
Energizer is probably one of the better ones. Energizer Julie's name.
It's like, oh, you're going to be Energizer because a battery apparently eats stuff and then exerts. Okay, you're vaguely battery. Your older brother said battery. You're like, Energizers are batteries. I'll go with that. Jack, who can turn, so far at this point, knows that he can turn into a cloud. He's like, Mass Master. You want to know why? Because I can turn into a cloud. You would be like Cloudboy or Cumulus Man, or that's the name that you would pick.
Cloudy.
Yeah, stormy weather.
Jack should not even be thinking about a nickname now. He's like, I can turn into a cloud. This kind of sucks, guys.
Yeah, it's like, so energy bolts, gravity control, and flight powers, huh? Hey, you guys want to see me turn into a... Oh, wait, I can do it in this voice. So I can turn into a cloud. That's what I can do. So you got them fancy, smancy, newfangled energy bolts and rainbow lightning wings, and you got the checkerboardy feet. Well, in my day, when you turned into your cloud, people were impressed by it.
We have 63 more episodes, and I just realized he's going to be doing this voice for Jack the entire damn time.
Boy, howdy, you want to see me form a cumulus cloud?
Speaking of Julie, she is the smartest on the team. She chooses Lightspeed.
That's a great name.
A great name. She
Perfect.
can fly fast. She leaves a blue and pink yellow rainbow behind her. She is Lightspeed because she can fly fast.
And she's got a good name.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Literally, in my opinion, best name of the group.
Yep. She's the smartest.
Yep.
I will say hands down, Julie is the smartest of all 4.
She's got a good power, good head on her shoulders.
Yep.
Good superhero name, because I know when my parents are in peril, I'm coming up with a superhero name.
Yep, that's the time to, and then we have Alex. He says
G.
He says G because he controls gravity. Oh, actually, he says G twice.
He says G twice. Here's the great thing on that. He goes, G. That's it. I'm G. I control gravity. G power.
No, he says it 3 times.
Well, G power, I'm only going to go if it's the G-E-E.
Nope.
No, you want it with his name too, or
If he says his name G and G power, then yes. And that is now his name, G, because he controls gravity. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? The worst. So each kid has a final comment on their current situation. Their parents are still captured. The formula will still be tested tomorrow. And Katie is scared. She wants her mommy, and she wants to go home, which, God, I could not blame her right now. Next issue, Butterfingers. On the last page, we get something pretty cool. We see something called The Power Behind the Pack. It's a full page that features 3 short bios of Louise Simonson, June Brinkman, and Bob Wysek, which I'm going to mess up that name too. But this is very interesting and friendly way to bring the readers in. You get the sense that this is a real work of love from all of them, and it's good information about what they've done and why they're here, and you got really fantastic character drawings of their faces. It's quite cool. It's something very, very neat, and I might try to just take a screenshot of that and add it to our webpage as well. Because
yeah, it's good. It gives little bios and everything, and gives the little comic interpretation of the people that made it.
Yeah. So let's talk about some thoughts on this book here. I've mentioned this before, but I think that there are some amazing voices for the kids. They speak like kids.
Yeah, it's fairly believable. They call you, they say dumbhead, this is stupid.
And they also speak at, like I said, a educational level for kids. Yeah. The words...
But like smart kids, right, but like...
It's the type of writing you would find in a lot of the chapter books my 7-year-old daughter is reading right now. Kind of bumped up a little bit for Alex and Julie maybe, but it's about in that same range. Compare or contrast that to what the Snarks, Whitey is saying... The parents, there's definitely a different level that they're speaking at. So there's a voice for the kids that's really there, which is nice. Also, the look for the kids as well.
Yeah, what's great about the kids' look is that they do, in fact, look like kids. And they don't look like, your standard, Marvel superhero, jacked body design. The girls look like girls. The boys look like boys, meaning that they kind of look, it's like, yeah, you look like you're not sitting in front of the TV all the time and you're running around doing stuff.
There's no defined muscles on the kids.
No, they have kid bodies.
June Brinkman was really chosen because she could do that drawing of kids. She had that experience and that presence of, this is what kids look like. I've done experience drawing kids in the past. And one of the things I read somewhere, and I'll have to figure out where it was again, Louise Simonson was talking about this, and she saw some of the artwork that June Brinkman had. She goes, yes, this is what I want. This is the drawings of the kids. This is how the kids should look. It shouldn't look like other kids in the Marvel Universe. It should look like these kids. Mm-hmm. So it's very realistic.
They are distinctive looking.
There's one other thing I really wanted to bring up before we move into our final thoughts, because this is going to be a long podcast anyways.
Well, it's as the cover says on this one, it is a king-sized first issue.
This is double the size of most comic books.
Yeah, it is 38 pages long or something.
So I have a theory on these kids, and I want to bring this forward as we look through these first set of story arcs, but I really think that these kids were designed or created to be like the kids from the Narnia books. The ages of the kids match up with the kids from the Narnia books, and if you haven't read it, it's a series of books that was written by C.S. Lewis, who was also referenced in this book. And the Snarks are named after C.S. Lewis poem. The kids are very similar to the 4 kids in the Narnia books, the original first 2 Narnia books, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian. Alex, as the oldest, is very much like Peter. He's in charge. He's a bit bossy. He's a know-it-all. But he's the oldest kid and like kind of gets the role of leadership, the mantle of leadership is put on him. Julie, she's Susan, the smartest of the group. More gentle, level-headed, very much similar in their description, in their writing style, in their voice that you have. Jack, very much like Edmund. In Narnia books, Edmund is the hot-headed, the least to believe. He's kind of a dick, and Jack's got a little bit of that as well. He's very much the one who rushes in and is a little bit outside the group. He doesn't play the same game the group plays. He doesn't believe the same way they do. And of course, Katie, very much like Lucy, the first to believe. She's not afraid. She heads into danger. She trusts people. She trusts the things that are there. So it's very interesting about the juxtaposition or the similarities that exist between the kids in the story and the kids in the Narnia books. And I just wonder, because it's something that I saw when I was a kid and I read both books, and I wonder if I put that together myself. Also, both books explore the crossroads between fantasy and children, the real, the imaginary, the talking animals. There's a lot of things that are there that both books really explore and combine together. And I'm going to be interested in tracking that as I go forward too. So
I think that's neat that you picked up on that, because I never put that together.
how much did you read those books as a kid?
The Narnia? I honestly don't think I've ever read them.
There's a different kind of look that you give to him as an adult, but it's kind of interesting to see the similarities that are there. There's very religious tones in the Narnia books, which are not necessarily here, but I think that there's some type of a callback. I think that Louise Simonson definitely was doing a call out to C.S. Lewis in her interpretations of the kids, as well as the themes in the Narnia books and the poems too. So, and her love of reading. But that being said, let's wrap this up by talking about some final thoughts. Now, for our final thoughts, I am going to steal heavily from Hub, who runs a podcast called Tighten Up the Defense. He does these fantastic things at the end of each podcast with his brother, where they talk about certain key elements from the book. He calls it his minutia. I'm going to call it final thoughts. He has been very helpful with me in giving me some advice on running this podcast myself, and he said that I am more than welcome to steal some of his ideas, and I'm going to steal them because they're great ideas. So I'd like to start off by talking about the refrigerator magnet, because as a parent, our refrigerator is full of a bunch of artwork that we put up that my daughter makes. And so what is the refrigerator magnet? What is the best piece of artwork in this book, Jeff?
My opinion, it is on page 35 of the book, and it's the first image of Cloud Jack and the ship. Okay. It is that just creepy looking giant cloud boy and the cool looking ship in the foreground, and that is just a happiest child in the world who happens to be a ship. I think that, in my opinion, is just an amazing looking shot.
Okay, all right. That is a very interesting piece of artwork.
Can I guess which one you like?
Which one?
It's the one where Julie is flung in the air by the snark.
Yes, that was the first one I had. That was my page 17, Julie Dart, as I like to call it, because it is just ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, you are looking up into the sky, and you're looking at this snark just tossing this girl like a dart at a dartboard, and she is just like an arrow heading straight through the air. It is gorgeous looking kind of piece of scenery. You're looking at her back as she's flying out, so you can't see just the terror on her face as she's flying through. But I did have a second one as well.
Okay.
I did have a second one. This is on page 26. And this one I thought was pretty darn cool because there's something emblematic about it. It's the picture of all four of the kids in this kind of yellow light. So they're kind of washed out with this yellow light. All of them have their fists up in the air, and they are ready to fight and take down these evil that have stolen their parents. Second, rubber and glue moment, because I am rubber and you're glue, so whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you.
You're a handsome man.
Damn.
Boom!
What was the best or most childish insult in the book?
There was a bunch of good ones in there, but it's on the same page. It's on page 26. It is the part that we read to you, previously, where it's, after Alex and Jack had said, you girls go hide. It's Katie's line, but I love the setup of it. It's like Julie's calling the boys male chauvinist pigs, and Katie just goes oink oink. And my favorite child thing is oink oink.
I cannot disagree with you at all on that. I can't, but I did choose a different one from you. I chose back on page 15 where Jack, my hero, my boy, goes running headlong into the battle and calls this alien who's stolen his mom and dad dog breath.
He says dog breath like twice in the comic.
This one's fantastic. He wings this flashlight at this guy. Drop them, dog breath.
He also drops the snark.
Yeah, he does. He catches the snark off ground. The snark is on the ground, and he goes diving after him. It's beautiful. I mean, just the fact that he calls this giant alien lizard dog breath choice. Very choice. Stars and detention. We want to identify the child who was best and the worst in the issue. And what we're going to do is we're going to track this throughout, and we're going to kind of have some way of identifying this on the pages on our website that we've got so that we can kind of keep track of who's the best and who's the worst. And of course, we're going to have some differing opinions on this, but it'll be interesting to see. So for this issue, who gets the star in this issue? Who is the best child in this issue?
Oh gosh, it's going to be hard for Katie.
Okay. Why do you say Katie?
Katie's awesome. Katie drove the entire story. She found the space. Okay, Whitey and the ship are on the shore. Katie saw it, otherwise everybody would be asleep. And no story would happen because the Snarks had come, have captured the Power Kids. Katie destroyed the power console, the alien ship. Katie is the bomb. Plain and simple, Katie.
I am not going to say much more than that besides the fact that she is very much the Lucy of this story, because she is also my choice as well. She initiated the entire plot of the story. All right, who gets detention this issue?
Jack.
I knew you were going to say Jack.
Yeah,
why do you say Jack?
It's fairly. I don't like Jack. No. Let's see. Jack doesn't like it. Jack is everything. You're dumb. Everything's stupid. I don't like this. I don't want to. You go do the thing. This is dumb. I'll break your telescope.
I almost agreed with you, except for the fact that he took down a Snark.
Yeah, he punched him in the snout too.
Before he had power.
Yeah. Okay, Jack. I will admit, Jack is kind of. I like all the power children. Jack just is the most nihilistic of the group.
Yeah.
In this issue.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. In this issue, Jack is the most kind of like, this is dumb. We got ripped off because an alien took us on a magic spaceship flight and said he's going to give us powers, and instead we just have a spaceship with hands. Jack did take down a Snark and then got grabbed by a Scruff and then eventually was immediately thrown into the air. And not just thrown, I mean like hurled. These Snarks are strong mofos.
Well, they're aliens, They got that going for them.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Alex.
What?
I know.
Oh my goodness, it's like our choices are...
I really hate the use of the word G. Oh my god, I hate it. Also, telling his sisters to hide, that was a dick move.
Okay.
Dick move. And I mean, he just comes across as milquetoast in this issue. So
Very much so.
I am going to try my best to make sure it's not Jack every issue for me, but for me...
You mean Alex?
Alex.
Yeah. I will also try not
sure,
to make the same choices, but I'm going to continue to say Katie's.
Probably, yeah. But there are some issues I think that other ones can step up, but we'll see what happens.
Haven't read them yet.
Haven't read them. Top grades. Now, this one's going to be real easy for this one because each issue we are going to evaluate every issue against the rest of the series. We want to try to kind of play along as we go through and figure out which is the best issue of the series and which is the worst. Of course, this being the first issue of the series, it's easily going to be number one. In the future, we're going to probably have some discussion about where this is going to rank in the order against other issues. I am going to say that I stole this idea from the best story ever from War Rocket Ajax, another fantastic podcast, which you must check out if you do not listen to it. Now, before we get to our last part, there's one thing that Jeff is going to add in here as well.
We are going to call this section G-Force, and it is the number of times that Alex says G in an issue.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
And I'm then going to give you an example of what that G-force would be in real-world standards.
That's kind of cool.
Now, Alex said G 8 times. In fact, on the very last page, he said it 3 times. 3 times. 2 times he said G, as in G-E-E, and once in his super name, which is G-Power. Okay, it's a terrible name.
Terrible.
But we will count that as well. If he did 8 Gs... He pulled 8 Gs in this, Rick. This issue, he pulled 8 Gs.
All right.
Which is what fighter pilots will experience.
So his face is coming off.
A little bit.
All right.
Yeah, but again, he can survive. He might be blacking out a little bit. He's not trained. But we'll say that with his gravity powers, he can survive such G-forces.
He said G so many times, his face is peeling off this issue.
Yeah, his face is doing that cool, NASA thing when they put him in the centrifuge and it's all...
I want to see us how many Gs per issue and how many Gs overall.
Oh, G on average.
Yeah, G on average.
Average G-force of the power pack.
So, I mean, as we go further through, I'm pretty sure that he drops the use of G as we get into the later issues. But, this will be fun to see.
I'm going to be surprised if he beats 8 Gs. If he pulls more than 8 Gs in an issue from here
This will be
out.
interesting to see.
Yeah.
And now, finally, our last thing, we are going to have a kid's perspective, and I'm going to ask a question or premise of the book to my 7-year-old daughter and get her opinion of what she thought when she read it. So, Carrie, can you tell me a little bit about what you thought of the first Power Pack?
Well, it was kind of sad once Whitey died. It made me feel, really kind of sad because, Whitey was the one who was supposed to be in charge of the kids since their parents were captured.
What did you think about the kids getting powers?
It was pretty awesome, though, because they got awesome powers.
Which power did you like the best?
I did like that, Julie's power. I like it because it's really fast. And, of course, the colors.
And the colors? What was your favorite part of the entire issue?
The entire issue?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of parts. I think my favorite part is when once Katie is like, Mom, everybody, there are UFOs.
Why'd you like that part?
Because she was like this.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about the issue?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Jeff and Rick Present is recorded in front of a live studio audience in Portland, Oregon. If you would like to interact with us through the magic of the internet, you can do so through Twitter at Jeff Rick Present, our Facebook page, Jeff and Rick Present, our email address, Jeff and Rick Present, all one word, @gmail.com, or at our website, jeffandrickpresent.wordpress.com.
We would like to thank the following people for the help in making this possible. Eric for the use of his equipment and guidance on using it. Hub from Tighten Up the Defense, another Portland-based comic podcast, which we borrowed heavily from. And Keith from Highlander Rewatched for their expert advice and guidance on doing a podcast. To Rick's daughter Carrie for the sound effects, Katie's dialogue, her views on the issue, and her enthusiasm, wonderment, and artwork. And to our partners, Cindy and Hillary, thank you for your support and encouragement as we attempt something new.
We would like to end our show by giving you a preview of what will be on our next episode. In order to do that, I would like to have Jeff's fiancée, Hillary, guess at what is the next book by only looking at the cover.
I'm looking at the cover of issue 2. I see a green lizard man chasing or attacking the Power Pack kids. Looking at this, I say, oh, is this the Endless Snake from Ragnarok? Are we seeing a future Avenger mashup? Probably not, but I expect there'll be a lot of G.
Until next week.